The rain in Seattle doesn't just fall, it claws at you, relentless, like it's trying to wash away every last shred of hope. I was halfway across Pine Street, my sneakers soaked through, when the headlights hit me. A truck, too fast, too close. The world screamed, tires screeching, my own gasp choking in my throat. Then it all went black. For a split second, I thought, this is it. This is how I go. No grand farewell, no heroic last stand. Just a 27-year-old nurse, flattened on a wet street 4 blocks from home. I'm Lily Harper, and I don't know why I'm still here telling you this. Maybe because the universe isn't done with me yet. Or maybe because I've got a story that needs to be told. One that's been clawing at my chest for years, begging to break free. Before that truck tried to end me, I was already carrying a weight heavier than I could bear. My family, my mother, Diane, and my sister, Ava, had spent years grinding me down, and I let them. I was the invisible glue holding their perfect little world together, and I hated every second of it. But let me take you back to the hours before my life cracked open. Let me show you how I got here. The clock in Cascade General Hospital's emergency room read 6:03 a.m., its red digits mocking me as I filed my last patient report, my 12th hour on shift, and my body was screaming. Back aching, eyes burning, feet throbbing in rain-soaked shoes from last night's storm. The ER had been chaos, a car wreck victim at midnight, a kid with a 14-degree fever at 2 a.m., a heart attack patient who coded twice before we stabilized him. I'd held hands, stitched wounds, and whispered, "You're gonna be okay," to people who probably didn't believe me. It's what I do. I'm a nurse. It's not just a job. It's who I am. But that morning, I felt like I was fading. Like the world could keep spinning without me and no one would notice. "Lily, you holding up?" Rachel, the head nurse, called from the desk, her voice a mix of concern and exhaustion. She was my rock, the one who trained me when I was a wide-eyed rookie 3 years ago. I forced a smile, my lips dry and cracking. As long as I make it to bed, I'll live. It was a lie, and she knew it. Rachel tilted her head, her braids catching the fluorescent light. "Got plans this weekend, or are you just gonna crash and burn like usual?" I shook my head, shoving my hands into my scrub coat pockets. "Mom and Ava are in Hawaii. I've got laundry and..." "Nothing else?" Rachel sighed, the kind of sigh that says she's seen too much of my life to let it slide. "Lily, when do you ever rest?" I didn't answer. What was there to say? Rest wasn't part of my vocabulary. Not when I was the one keeping my family's world from falling apart. I shuffled to the locker room, my wet sneakers squeaking on the linoleum. My locker held the usual, a spare hoodie, a half-empty water bottle, and a photo of me and Dad from my high school graduation. James Carter, tech exec, always on the move. Singapore, London, Sydney now. He'd flown back for that day, snapping photos with me in my cap and gown, his eyes shining with pride. When I ditched law school to become a nurse, he was the only one who didn't flinch. "You're saving lives, Lily," he'd said. That's more than any courtroom could ask for. Mom, though? She'd called it a waste of potential, her voice dripping with disappointment. To her, I was the daughter who settled for less. The bus ride to my Capitol Hill studio was freezing, the windows fogged up, the heater barely wheezing. I pressed my forehead against the glass, watching the city crawl by. Coffee shops opening, joggers braving the rain, the Space Needle looming in the mist. My apartment wasn't much. 400 square feet, a creaky bed, a second-hand couch. But it was mine, and I kept it spotless. Maybe because Mom's house was always chaos. Dishes piled in the sink, Ava's clothes strewn across the living room, Diane's complaints echoing like a soundtrack. I'd grown up picking up their pieces and I never stopped. On my fridge, I kept Dad's letters. Handwritten, old school, always with a line or two about my job, my health, my dreams. "How's the ER treating you, kiddo? Don't let those doctors boss you around." I smiled, tracing his latest from Sydney. He was the only one who saw me, really saw me. But he was half a world away and I was here, drowning in a life I didn't choose. My phone buzzed as I poured coffee, the cheap kind that tastes like regret. Mom's name flashed on the screen, and my stomach twisted. "Lily, don't forget dinner at the house tomorrow, 6 p.m. sharp," she said. Her voice clipped, like she was ordering from a menu. "Ava's fiancé Ethan is coming. I need the place spotless and the food perfect." I stared at the ceiling, willing the universe to grant me patience. "Aren't you in Hawaii?" I asked, my voice flat. "Flying back tomorrow," she said, like it was no big deal. "Book last-minute flights. Ethan's schedule opened up. You'll handle it, right? Make Ava's favorites? Ethan loves her taste." I gripped my mug, the heat searing my palm. "Sure, Mom. I'll take care of it." Her voice softened, but it was fake, like syrup over poison. "Lily, I can always count on you. You're a nurse, grown now. This is nothing for you." She hung up and I stood there, the silence louder than her words. Ava, my younger sister, was the sun in Mom's universe. 24, gorgeous, an Instagram influencer with 50,000 followers and a knack for making everyone love her. She'd just launched a fashion collab and Mom treated her like royalty. Me? I was the shadow, the one who paid bills, cooked dinners, and cleaned up their messes. I saved lives for a living, but to them I was just there. The phone buzzed again. A video call from Dad. His face filled the screen, tanned from Sydney's sun, his graying hair mussed by wind. "Hey, kiddo," he grinned. "How's my favorite nurse?" I smiled, the first real one all day. "Surviving, Dad. Where are you?" He panned the camera to show a glittering harbor. "Sydney, project's a beast, might keep me here a few more weeks. Sorry if I miss your birthday." "It's fine," I lied. "I get it." His eyes softened, like he could see through me, even from 7,000 miles away. "Lily, if anything happens, call me, day or night. Promise?" I nodded, my throat tight. "I will. Take care of yourself, okay? And look after Mom and Ava for me. That house would collapse without you." He laughed, but it felt like a knife. He didn't know how true that was. After the call, I sat by my window, rain streaking the glass. My coffee was cold, but I didn't care. I was used to being the one who held it all together. Dinners, bills, Mom's demands, Ava's whims. But something inside me was cracking, a fault line I couldn't ignore. I didn't know it then, but that crack was about to split my world wide open. Saturday morning, I woke to rain hammering my window, my phone already buzzing with Mom's texts. "Ava says Ethan loves lobster. Get fresh, not frozen. And change the tablecloth. The old one's tacky." A heart emoji followed, like that made it less of a command. I stared at the screen, my jaw tight. Part of me wanted to text back, "Do it yourself." But the part of me trained to obey, the part Mom had molded since I was a kid, got up and started a grocery list. The supermarket was a zoo, shoppers elbowing past with carts piled high. Ava called as I pushed through the seafood aisle. "Lily, grab a bottle of organic champagne," she said, her voice bright, like she was doing me a favor. "Ethan's picky, don't get the cheap stuff." I froze, my hand on a $20 0-cent bottle I could barely afford. "Can you?" she pressed, but it wasn't a question. "Oh, and get roses, white ones. Ethan's mom loves minimalist vibes." I stood there, my cart half full, my budget screaming. Lobster, champagne, rosés, none of it for me. I was prepping a dinner I wasn't even invited to. A stagehand for Ava's perfect life. My chest tightened, but I grabbed the champagne, the roses, the lobster. I always did. At Mom's house that afternoon, I dove into work. The place was a mess. Wine glasses smudged, counters sticky, Ava's makeup brushes scattered like confetti. I scrubbed floors, polished windows, and prepped the lobster, the kitchen heat making my hair stick to my neck. My phone buzzed with more texts. No garlic in the salad. Ethan's sensitive. Rinse the glasses. They looked cloudy last time. I read them like a script, each one chipping away at me. By 4 p.m., the house gleamed. The table was set, white roses in a crystal vase, lobster plated like it belonged in a magazine. I sat for a moment, sweat beading on my forehead, my hands raw from cleaning. No one would see this. No one would care. The front door burst open at 4:30. Deva swept in, her designer dress hugging her curves, a suitcase clattering behind her. Mom followed, her perfume choking the air. Neither looked at me. Mom scanned the table and sniffed. It's fine, but the napkins look sloppy. Ava peered at the salad and pouted. No risotto? Ethan was craving it. I kept my voice even, my nails digging into my palms. You didn't mention risotto. Ava rolled her eyes, turning to Mom. She always does things her way. Mom sighed, like I was a problem to be solved. Lily, Ava's building her brand. You're stable, a nurse. Helping out isn't a big deal, is it? Stable. That's what they called me. Like I was a machine, not a person. Like my 12-hour shifts, my empty bank account, my aching body. Didn't matter. I swallowed my words, like I always did, and started clearing the prep dishes. Dinner dragged on. Ethan, a tech bro with a Rolex and a smirk, barely acknowledged me. Ava laughed too loud at his jokes. Mom hung on his every word. I served, refilled glasses, and cleared plates, invisible. As I washed the last dish, my hand slipped on a knife, the blade nicking my finger. Blood swirled in the sink, a red ribbon in the soapy water. I stood there, the sting sharp, my heart sharper. Behind me, Mom's voice floated. Lily, wipe the windows tomorrow. There's a smudge. It's tacky. I didn't answer. I bandaged my finger, grabbed my coat, and slipped out the back door. The rain had stopped, but the air was heavy, pressing on my chest. I walked to the bus stop, my sneakers still damp, my mind a tangle of anger and exhaustion. I didn't know it then, but I was hours away from the moment that would change everything. Cascade General was short-staffed that night, and when Rachel texted about a coworker's sick kid, I said yes to an extra shift. I didn't want to go home to my silent apartment, to the weight of Mom's texts and Ava's demands. At the hospital, I mattered. I was Lily Harper, RN, the one who kept patients breathing, who held hands through pain, not Lily the doormat. The shift was brutal. Gunshot wound at 9 p.m., overdose at 11, a stroke patient who didn't make it. By 6 a.m., I was running on fumes, my scrubs stained, my hair a mess. Rachel caught me at the door. Go home, Lily. You look like hell. I laughed, the sound hollow. Thanks for the flattery. She hugged me, quick and fierce. You're too good for this world, you know that? I stepped into the dawn, the sky a bruise of purple and gray. The rain had started again, soft but biting. I pulled my scarf tight, my coat up to my chin, and started the walk home. 4 blocks. Just 4 blocks to my bed, to sleep, to forgetting. I was crossing Pine Street when I saw it, the truck, its headlights blinding, its horn a roar. I froze, my body betraying me. The world slowed, every detail razor sharp, the driver's wide eyes, the rain glinting like diamonds, my own heartbeat thundering. Then the impact, a bone-crushing jolt, and I was flying, weightless, until the pavement caught me. Darkness swallowed me whole. But even as I fell, one thought burned bright. They'll never know. Mom, Ava, they'll never know I'm gone. And somewhere, deep inside, a voice whispered, maybe they won't care. I don't remember the ambulance, the sirens, the hands pulling me from the street. I don't remember the ER doors slamming open, my colleagues' faces paling as they recognized me. But I know this. As I lay there, broken and bleeding, the life I'd lived, the one I'd let them steal, was unraveling. And if I ever woke up, nothing would be the same. What did Mom hide from Dad, and why? What secrets were buried in the house I'd cleaned 1,000 times? And who was I, really, beneath the weight of their expectations? I didn't know yet, but I was about to find out. The ICU smells like antiseptic and despair, a sterile tang that clings to your skin. I woke to it, or rather, I drifted into something like waking. A haze of white ceiling tiles and the relentless beep, beep, beep of the heart monitor tethering me to life. My body felt like it had been run over twice. Every breath a knife in my ribs, every blink a battle. I was Lily Harper, 27, nurse, daughter, sister, doormat. Except now, I was just a patient, a broken thing on a bed, surrounded by machines that cared more than my family did. I couldn't move much, couldn't speak. A tube snaked down my throat, forcing air into my lungs. My left arm was a mess of bandages, glass shards from the truck's windshield still embedded in my skin. My pelvis ached, a deep, grinding pain from the fracture. But worse than the pain was the silence. No family footsteps, no worried voices. Just the hum of the ventilator and the occasional murmur of nurses beyond the curtain. I was alone, or so I thought, until I felt a hand slip into mine, warm and steady. Lily, if you can hear me, don't give up. Rachel's voice, soft but fierce, cut through the fog. My coworker, my friend, the one who'd trained me to keep my cool when the ER turned to chaos. Her braids brushed my shoulder as she leaned close, her brown eyes searching mine for a sign I was still in there. We're all here for you. You're not alone. She placed a small charm bracelet beside me, the one I'd worn my first day at Cascade General, its tiny silver heart glinting under the fluorescent light. I wanted to squeeze her hand, to tell her I was fighting, but my body wouldn't obey. All I could do was listen, and even that felt like drowning. The first day passed in a blur. No one came, not Mom, not Ava, not even a phone call. The second day, the same. Rachel was there, though, every break between her shifts, smoothing my blanket, wiping my forehead with a warm cloth, whispering stories about the ER to keep me anchored. You should have seen Daniel lose it when the coffee machine broke, she'd say, her laugh a lifeline. Dr. Sarah Bennett, the ER chief, stopped by too, her face tight with worry. Lily, try to move a finger, okay? She'd whisper, checking my chart with a surgeon's precision but a mother's hope. I couldn't move, but their voices were my tether, pulling me back from the dark. On the third day, something shifted. A fire alarm blared through the hospital, sharp and jarring. I heard shouts, footsteps pounding, the curtain around my bed whipping open. We've got a fire in the storage wing, someone yelled. Rachel's hand tightened on mine. Stay with me, Lily, she said, her voice steady despite the chaos. Smoke seeped into the ICU, a faint haze that stung my eyes. The sprinkler system kicked on, drenching the room, and I felt the cold water soak through my gown. Rachel stayed, shielding me with her body as nurses scrambled to move patients. The fire was contained quickly, a faulty electrical panel, but for those endless minutes I was trapped, helpless, my heart monitor racing. Rachel's presence was the only thing keeping me from panic. "You're safe," she said over and over, until the alarms stopped. By the fourth day, my heart monitor betrayed me. I don't remember it, but Rachel told me later. My vitals crashed, the line flattening for 10 agonizing seconds. She'd been checking my IV when it happened, her shout bringing the crash team running. "Don't you dare, Lily," she'd yelled, her hands on my chest, pumping life back into me. They shocked me twice, the paddles burning my skin, and somehow I came back. Rachel was crying when I opened my eyes. Just a flicker, but enough for her to collapse into a chair, sobbing. "You scared the hell out of me," she whispered, clutching my hand like it was a miracle. On the fifth day, I blinked properly, slow and weak, but deliberate. Rachel burst into tears again, her laugh shaky. "Grace, squeeze my hand, please," she said, and I tried, my finger curling just enough to make her gasp. It was the first time I felt like I might survive this. Not just the accident, but the weight of everything I'd carried for years. By the seventh day, I could open my eyes fully, the world sharpening into focus. My first question, mouthed silently around the tube, was for Dad. Rachel's face fell. "We haven't reached him," she said. "You didn't list him as an emergency contact, just your mom and Ava." My heart sank. Dad, James Carter, the one who'd always believed in me, hadn't come. His number wasn't in my file, a stupid oversight I'd never thought to fix. Only Mom and Ava were listed, and they hadn't shown up. Rachel frowned, flipping through my chart. I tried looking him up, but all I found was his company's address in San Francisco. "When you're stronger, we'll find him." I nodded, barely, but inside, something cracked. Dad, who called me every week, who sent letters from across the globe, hadn't known I was fighting for my life. And Mom, she'd let me lie here, alone. The eighth day brought the first visitors, but not the ones I wanted. Mom and Ava swept into the ICU like they were late for a brunch date, carrying Gucci bags with tags still dangling, their faces tired from some late-night fashion event. Ava wrinkled her nose at the antiseptic smell, her heels clicking on the tile. Mom stood at the foot of my bed, arms crossed, keeping a careful distance, like my injuries might ruin her silk black. "Is she awake yet?" Ava asked Rachel, not even looking at me. "Not fully," Rachel replied, her voice ice cold. Mom sighed, checking her watch. "We're only staying 10 minutes. Ava's got dinner plans with Ethan, and she needs her makeup done." They slipped on protective gowns, more for show than necessity, and stood there, awkward, like I was a stranger. "Lily, you need to get better soon," Mom said, her tone flat, like she was scolding a child. "Don't stress Ava out." Ava leaned in, her perfume overwhelming, and whispered, "Don't tell Dad about this, okay? If he finds out, he'll delay his whole project." I stared at her, my chest tight, the ventilator hissing in rhythm with my anger. Rachel stood in the corner, silent but seething, her hand resting on my shoulder, a quiet promise that I wasn't alone. Mom and Ava left after 12 minutes, their heels echoing down the hall. I closed my eyes, the machines around me louder than their absence. They hadn't asked if I was okay, hadn't touched me, hadn't cared. I was just a problem to be managed, a shadow in their spotlight. That night, another danger came. A man slipped into the ICU, his face half hidden by a hood, his eyes scanning the room. I was awake, barely, when he approached my bed, his hand brushing the IV line. "You saw something, didn't you?" he muttered, his voice low, threatening. I couldn't move, couldn't scream, but Rachel was there, back from a coffee run. "Hey!" she shouted, dropping her cup and lunging forward. The man bolted, disappearing into the hall before security could catch him. Rachel's hands shook as she checked my lines, her voice steady despite her fear. "You're okay, Lily. I've got you." But I wasn't okay. Someone thought I knew something, and it wasn't just my family's secrets. By the 9th day, I could whisper, my voice raw from the tube they'd removed. "Fine, Dad," I told Rachel, my words barely audible. She nodded, her eyes fierce. "I'll try everything." It took her half a day to track down Claire, Dad's executive assistant at his San Francisco tech firm. When Rachel mentioned my name, Claire paused, her voice catching. "Lily Harper? James's daughter?" There was a long silence. I thought he knew. He's in San Francisco, not Sydney. The Sydney project wrapped weeks ago. My heart stopped, or it felt like it. Mom had lied. Not just a small lie, but a deliberate wall between me and Dad. Rachel held the phone to my ear as Dad's voice came through, panicked, broken. "Lily, oh God, I'm so sorry. Your mom said you had a cold, nothing serious. Why didn't anyone tell me?" Tears burned my eyes, spilling over as I tried to speak. "Dad," I whispered, "I'm here." He was sobbing now, 3,000 miles away, promising to catch the next flight. I gripped the phone, Rachel's hand steadying mine, and for the first time I felt something like hope. But hope was fragile, and the hospital wasn't done testing me. That night, a gas leak in the recovery wing triggered another evacuation. The alarm screamed, and Rachel wheeled my bed out as fumes filled the air, my oxygen mask fogging with every shallow breath. "Stay with me, Lily," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. We made it to a temporary ward, but the fear lingered, my body trembling from the close call. Who was that man in the ICU? What did he think I knew? And why had Mom lied about Dad's whereabouts? I requested early discharge, refusing to go back to Mom's house. Rachel offered her spare room, a cozy space in her Belltown apartment, and I accepted, too tired to fight. But I couldn't shake the pull to return to Mom's house. Not for answers, but for something deeper. A gut feeling I couldn't ignore. On the 3rd night after discharge, I asked Rachel to drive me there. I'd forgot some paperwork, I lied, but she didn't question me. She knew me too well. The house was dark, save for the glow from the living room. I used my old key, slipping in through the back door like a thief. The air was heavy with Mom's perfume, and voices drifted from the living room. Mom's, sharp and low, and a man's, familiar but chilling. Mark, a family friend, Dad's old coworker. I pressed myself against the wall, my heart pounding so loud I swore they'd hear it. "You need to be careful," Mom said, her voice tight. "James still doesn't know. If he suspects anything, it's over. You've been lying for 20 years, Mark." He laughed, bitter. "What's got you so scared?" "Lily's too obedient to question anything. She thinks James is in Sydney, not San Francisco." Mom's voice dropped. "And Ava, she's clueless, bless her, but we have to keep it quiet, especially about her real father." I stopped, breathing. The world tilted, a cold gash tearing through me. Ava wasn't Dad's daughter. Mom had been lying to him, to us, for decades. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone, hitting record. Their voices continued, oblivious, wine glasses clinking, Mom laughing about how she'd told Dad I had a cold, not that I'd nearly died. I captured it all, every word a blade cutting through the illusion of my family. I slipped out, my legs weak, and Rachel was waiting in the car, her eyes wide when she saw my face. "What happened?" she asked, but I couldn't speak, not yet. Back at her apartment, I played the recording, my hands trembling. Rachel listened, her jaw tight. "Lily, they lied to you. To James, to everyone." I nodded, my throat burning. "I need more proof," I said. "Not just for me, for Dad." Over the next 2 days, Rachel helped me dig. We found a hairbrush Ava had left at Mom's, a cotton pad Dad had used during his last visit. I sent them to a private lab in Portland, my hands shaking as I sealed the envelope. The DNA results came back in 3 days, one sentence in bold. Paternity probability 0%. I stared at it, not shocked, but confirmed. Every doubt I'd buried, every time Mom snapped when I got too close to Dad, every time Ava got the spotlight, was true. I compiled everything. The audio, emails Rachel hacked from Mom's secret account to Mark, the DNA results. The emails were a gut punch. Mom's fear of Dad finding out, her planning with Mark to keep Ava's paternity hidden. One read, "James thinks Ava's his. If the truth comes out, we lose everything." I wrote a letter to Dad, my handwriting shaky but firm. "Dad, I hope you're somewhere quiet when you read this. 2 weeks ago I nearly died. Mom told you I had a cold, told the hospital I could handle it. She said you were in Sydney, but you were in San Francisco, a flight away. I don't know who to blame, her for lying or me for believing in our family. But you deserve the truth. Listen to the USB, read the emails, open the DNA results. I'm sorry you're learning this way, but I can't stay silent anymore. I've lived with this pain my whole life. Now it's yours too. Lily." I sent the package to Dad's San Francisco office via overnight courier, Rachel standing beside me as I signed the slip. "You sure?" she asked, her eyes gentle but worried. I nodded. "There's no going back." That night, I couldn't sleep, haunted by memories. Mom leaving my nursing school graduation for Ava's fashion show. Dad staying to the end, snapping photos despite an early flight. I'd believed Mom's lies, believed Ava's charm, believed we were a family. Now I believed in nothing but the truth. Dad received the package Tuesday evening, his hands freezing when he saw my handwriting. He read my letter, each word a hammer to his chest. The audio, the emails, the DNA results, they tore through 28 years of his life. He booked a flight to Seattle that night, landing Wednesday afternoon. He didn't go to me first. He went to Mom's house, the one he'd thought was home. The confrontation was brutal. Mom froze when she saw him, a glass of wine trembling in her hand. "James, why are you back early?" she stammered. He set the envelope on the table. "Read it," he said, his voice steel. Ava, scrolling on her phone, scrambled up. "What's going on?" Dad turned to her, his eyes heavy with sorrow. "I'm not your father, Ava, and your mother's been lying to me for 20 years. Mom collapsed into a chair, her excuses crumbling. Dad filed for divorce, cutting off all support. He looked at Ava one last time. "If you need me, call, but I'm done here." Mom and Ava were ordered to vacate the house, their perfect life unraveling. Mark vanished, his wife filing for divorce after discovering the affair. Mom took a job at a boutique, her pride shattered. Ava confronted Mark only to be rejected as a mistake. They moved to a cramped apartment, their world reduced to shadows of what it was. I moved with Dad to a small apartment in Portland near the Willamette River. We painted the walls cream, hung photos Mom had hidden, built a bookshelf just for me. Dad turned down a San Francisco promotion to stay close, saying, "Jobs change, a daughter doesn't." Rachel visited every weekend bringing waffles and hospital gossip. Other coworkers came too. Daniel, the jazz-loving anesthesiologist, Liz, the tough nurse who now brought flowers. Our apartment filled with laughter, a family built not on blood but on truth. That Christmas Eve, snow dusted the windows. Dad raised a glass, his voice steady. "I thought I had a family, until I nearly lost the one person who was." "Thank you, Lily, for teaching me what family means," I echoed, "to real family." Later, I found an envelope in the mailbox, Mom's handwriting on it. I dropped it in the trash, unopened. Dad saw, but didn't ask. "Want a shelf for your friend's photo?" he said. I smiled, just one frame for the people who stayed. The snow fell, but my heart was warm. I'd lost the illusion of family, but found truth, love, and freedom. I wasn't living for approval anymore. I was living for me.